Ethereum continues to show strength. In today's episode, we're going to look at the Wall Street cheat sheet and look at exactly where I think we are on that and how that's playing into exactly what is happening right now, as well as looking at the potential of a huge break to the upside. Hello guys, and welcome to the House of Crypto. I make videos about Ethereum as well as other cryptocurrencies. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on the way in to be kept up to date with all of the latest happening in the cryptocurrency markets. Without further ado then, let's jump into this Wall Street cheat sheet about Ethereum's market cycle. Okay, so I've mentioned this Wall Street cheat sheet before, and often I mention it as we climb up towards higher levels. And the reason I want to mention it is because ultimately, this is what is deciding the price. Obviously, the people like you and me have an impact on the market, and we do happen to move the market around, whether it be actually against what we want or not. And it's the big players who are actually using this as well. So the Wall Street cheat sheet shows sort of the different emotions that people feel at different stages of the cycle. And as soon as we can start understanding the psychology that's going around at the moment, we can start to make better decisions in terms of when we are prepared to buy and when we're prepared to sell or perhaps hold, whatever your strategy might be. Now, when we were back a couple of weeks ago at around the $4,500 level, I mentioned that we were looking very high, that we were possibly looking for some time where we might see a reversal. And if you were to look down in the comments of my video or other YouTube videos, as well as over on Twitter, you hear everyone getting super excited, telling us, how much money they're making, how they're going to be a millionaire soon, how Ethereum's going to hit $10,000, etc. At which point, you start to believe that perhaps we're in the thrill, euphoria stages of the market. And lo and behold, we had that huge crash down. We had a bit of a comeback. Everyone then thinks, okay, it's coming back, we're all fine. And then we have complacency. And then it comes down into this, everyone telling us it's the bear cycle coming. And then we're going to see a huge crash to the downside, and lo and behold, we did have a bit of a crash to the downside. And then we've sort of seen this. If you were to look at the comments, you'll see people saying, oh, we'll see you back in 4 years when the next bull cycle is on. Not that it's going to take 4 years necessarily to come round. Everyone's going, oh, I want it to drop to less than $1,000 because then I can buy more, etc. Which, depending on your strategy, that might be the case, but often the market doesn't do what we want. So we've seen a lot of this coming in, and the reason I want to show you this is because I believe at the moment we're sitting around the disbelief this is a sucker rally. And if we come back over to the left hand side, we can see that down this area is disbelief at the bottom, which might be behind my picture, and then we come up into hope, and actually at the moment we're probably in a bit of hope stages. Okay, we've had this kind of come up to the top, and then we're going to break potentially across, and I'll show you the chart in a moment to show you where the charts play into this in relation to the Wall Street cheat sheet. As you can see, in this stage was our euphoria stage, and then we were blown off into sort of depression, anger, etc., fear, and then everyone was due to sell. Everyone went and sold their crypto, and then all the big whales were doing the opposite, and the Wall Street cheat sheet is basically allowing the Wall Street to do the opposite of what every retailer is thinking. Okay, so now you can see that we had the bounce, and then this was our sort of perhaps a bit of a sucker rally, and then it dumped again to then, cement in people's mind that the bull cycle is over. Okay, that's the aim of what it's trying to do. So when you're looking at what people are saying, that should give you an indication exactly of what actually is happening. Okay, everyone's super excited, then look for a reversal, especially like when you look at the RSI, the Relative Strength Index. This is on the 1 day. You can see up here, this is huge, this is super high. Okay, when it's super overbought like this, it's very fragile and it can come crashing down really hard. It came back up and we retested the sort of the 70 level, and then we had this massive sell-off. And then, over time it's been rebuilding, and now we're actually in a very healthy position. If you look in the RSI, we're pretty much in the middle, showing, that there's obviously buying pressure and selling pressure, but, it's fairly steady at the moment. And want to bring your attention to this pattern which we've been talking about for the last few days, because once this pattern approaches sort of 70% of the way through level, moving from this side to this side, which is coming up to perhaps around this area here, then we are due to have to make a decision, whether that be to break to the upside or whether that be to come down and break to the downside. Now what's happening at the moment, literally as I talk, we came up, if you remember, all the way back on the 28th of April. We spent a couple of days playing around at this level, trying to break through, getting rejected, trying to break through, getting rejected, and eventually had this pump that took us up to the top. We came back and we retested this as support, and then we had that huge day where we went from 2,950 all the way up to 3,442. Okay, again, then came back, retested this line up here and moved all the way up to the top. Now, because obviously, a lot of people would have been burned in this, it won't necessarily fly up quite as rapidly as this. Although there are a lot of people who probably lost a bit of money and are trying to make their money back. There are people who maybe never got in at this point and kind of sat on the sidelines and they're waiting for the next opportunity. And this, in my opinion, is the next opportunity, guys. So this pattern can break either up or down. But as you can see, yesterday we came down, and for the last few days, in fact, we've been playing around at the bottom level here, getting support each time. Okay, so we break below, get support, break below, get support. And then yesterday we saw this big move from around the $2,291 level, and we moved all the way up to where we are now. So currently sitting at 2,723. Now, if it is to be able to continue, and we are going to be able to break through this moving average, notice how this moving average is going to come in line pretty much when we arrive with this line here. And if it is to break to the upside, then we'll take the height of this pattern here. Now you can come all the way down to the bottom of this wick, but I'll probably just take it from the wick at the back of this. And then if we were to break around this area here, giving it a couple of days potentially, it could be much sooner, guys. It could come today, or we could come all the way up, bounce, and get a steep rejection. But as I mentioned, due to the fact that we have to complete these patterns within a certain time period, as you can see here, this is pretty much exactly the same, if not a bit smaller, and it kind of came up. We didn't even mess around at this level and we went straight up through. Okay, so that would take a potential breakout all the way back up 3,900, nearly $4,000. Obviously, the 50-day moving average, the green line, will propose a bit of resistance, as well as the top of this trend line, which obviously, as I mentioned before, has been in play for a good last few months. Okay, so where we're looking at right now, again, still sitting on the sidelines, being patient, not jumping into anything, but actually, we could as long as we can move back up to this side and have a good clear breakout, and we do need good volume for that, because otherwise we just get these sort of wicks where we do break, but there's never enough volume to really confirm the breakout and push all the way through. Then we could be seeing levels up here, and we could see moves like this within a very short time period. Okay, as I mentioned in the past, from this area of around 2,900 up to around the $3,400 level, there's not a huge amount of trading volume, which tends to mean that it can move very fast through these areas, where actually not a huge amount of buys can push the price up quite rapidly until it sticks. And we could probably see our next line of resistance. If we see, looking back here, we hit this line here, and then if on the way back down, again we found support here. So the $3,270 level, in my opinion, will provide some substantial support. Now, obviously not financial advice, go away and do your own research. In my opinion, that this is going to break back to the upside. However, that doesn't mean everything is all over and we're going to be chasing back to all-time highs once more, because as you can see, that wouldn't necessarily bring us as high as the all-time high. And what we could potentially see is another high, which is still, still near the $4,000 mark, but not as high as this one. And if it is unable to break through these highs of around the $4,400 level, etc., then we could potentially be putting in a slightly lower high here, okay? Which does mean that if it is unable to put in lower highs, then eventually we would perhaps see it come back down and maybe retest around this area here, or perhaps even fall slightly lower. But that's a long way off, in my opinion, and we're going to be looking to get through this area in the next day or 2 or 3 days perhaps. Now jumping over to Bitcoin, we can see again something very similar happening. And if you notice, there's of the distance, well, in terms of the candles between the top of this pattern and the top of the pattern over on Ethereum, they actually are very similar, in which case they would probably meet the top of this pattern in pretty much the same time. And if you go and look across the board in a variety of different cryptos, you know, ADA, etc., they all are sort of tending to be in whether a symmetrical triangle like this or a rising wedge pattern like the Ethereum triangle before. But overall, you know, in my opinion, looking quite positive at the moment. Pay attention, as I've mentioned, to all the Twitter posts, the YouTube comments, and get a kind of an idea of the sentiment of the market, because it does tend to move against what everyone wants. If you've been wanting to buy in low, you know, and you never got to come all the way down to this level in Ethereum like you thought you might do, or $20,000 in Bitcoin, then, you know, so what? There's always opportunities to be making money, and the more we can build this kind of patience and we can wait, you know, and be prepared to take profits when we can, and not think that it's only going to go up in a straight line, I've only got one chance to buy, then if we can fight this sort of urge in ourselves to do these things, then, you know, we can become more profitable as traders. If we look at the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, we can actually see something that is very positive. In fact, Ethereum Bitcoin has in fact already broken out of this symmetrical triangle, and as you can see, we're having a bit of a rejection at this level here, and that's going to potentially drop back down to this area, and it'll be interesting to see whether it can do this and confirm this as a breakout and then perhaps move back to the other side. If it's able to do that at the same time as Ethereum and Bitcoin hitting that line, and we can break through this area at around the 7.3% level, which is clearly a bit of resistance level here. We've also got this W pattern, which will then get confirmed. At the moment, it hasn't been confirmed because we haven't broken back above this neckline. So that will be interesting to see. And also, as you can see in the past, this was good levels of support on Ethereum versus Bitcoin. And then now has obviously been flipped, will now be flipped into resistance, which we saw here. And again, we're seeing here basically exactly similar levels. Okay, guys, I hope this has been valuable information for you. You know, again, standing on the sidelines until I see a breakout, either to the upside or to the downside. In my opinion, the way it's been moving, the way the market has been reacting to everything, I think we could be due to be retesting back up towards the mid $3,000 levels very soon. Let me know what your plan is down below. Are you waiting for a lower drop in order to accumulate, or are you sort of ready for now to sort of hold and see whether we're going to be moving back towards the upside in the next coming days? Thanks very much for watching, guys. If you're new to the channel, make sure you smash up that like button. It really helps me get this video out to more people. And if you haven't already subscribed and you hold Ethereum or you're interested in Ethereum, then make sure you subscribe to be kept up to date with all the latest Ethereum news, Ethereum chart analysis as it happens. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you again tomorrow with another video. Bye-bye.